Welcome to the Forest Harvest CBNE Forum 2021. Thank you for joining us this week as we foster information exchange, capacity enhancement, market engagement, and political action in support of the community-based NTFP enterprises. Our moderator for the session is Ms. Sophie Growels. She's the Food and Agriculture Organization Forestry Officer of the Forest and Farm Facility. She has been working in rural development, conflict resolution, economic empowerment, and gender mainstreaming. For the last 2 decades, she has focused on community-based forest enterprise development and is part of the management team of the FFF. Please give a warm welcome of applause to Ms. Growels.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon for those in Asia, probably as well. Here it's still very early. Thank you and welcome to this session on upscaling business capacity development for community-based NTFP enterprises. How do we move away from case-by-case projects? We have 4 panel presenters who will introduce the concept of entrepreneurial capacity building and business incubation for community-based NTFP enterprises, alongside some interesting ongoing examples to illustrate what we mean with business incubation led by forest and farm producer organizations, a topic which is close to the heart of the work of the Forest and Farm Facility. Then we would like to hear some practical examples from you, the NTFP community entrepreneurs present in this session, to hear your experiences with business incubation services, after which we will go back to our panel to comment on the best ways to develop this kind of capacity. This session will have translation in Vietnamese, Thai, Filipino, Bahasa Indonesia, and Khmer. If you need a translation, please click the interpretation button below and choose your language. You may mute or unmute the original speaker. Please note that we will be recording this session. Now to our panelists. Our first speaker is from the International Institute for Environment and Development, IIED, a partner of the Forest and Farm Facility, who will share his experience of risk assessment leading to business incubation. He is the team leader of the Forest and Prosperity team at IIED, working on issues of locally controlled forest enterprise, forest governance, and forest climate action. Please help me welcome our first presenter, Mr. Duncan McCrean. Duncan, you have the floor. And please unmute yourself.
Always a good start. Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be with you this morning. I'm from Scotland, where we're just waking up. And I'm going to talk to you this morning about risk assessment leading to business incubation, moving beyond startups towards mature businesses. And I'm going to be drawing on experiences of the Forest and Farm Facility work to support enterprises around the world. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so risk assessment. Why should we bother with risk assessment? And I think the main reason is that many small enterprises, especially group enterprises, fail within about 2 to 5 years after the startup. And this is often because they have cash flow problems. They start to incur costs and they haven't made any profits yet. And so they run into financial trouble. But there are many other reasons why businesses fail. And few businesses get into the practice of regularly managing their risks so that problems are anticipated. And that's, if there's one message I want you to take from this talk, it's get into the regular habit of assessing risks and having plans to manage them. One of the other reasons why this is so common is that there are many projects and programs that do business startups, but very few then accompany businesses through the process of getting mature. And so often projects stop and the support finishes. Okay, can I have the next slide, please? So what sort of risks do businesses face? Well, I'm talking to an audience of entrepreneurs, so you will know better than I. But I think it's useful to think very widely when you're doing risk assessment. So there are, of course, financial risks, and I already mentioned cash flow. Do you have enough money to pay salaries and bills until the product is sold? There's also, on the financial side, a question of investment. Are you saving money and developing a track record of savings so that you can make necessary investments to repair equipment or build new sort of processing and packaging facilities that you need to keep the business alive? Of course, there are production risks. One of the common risks of production is, do you have enough volume to meet your buyers' needs? Do you have enough quality? If you're collecting product from many different farmers, is the quality standardized enough to meet the buyer's needs? So those are production risks. Then there are risks to do with relationships and business, customers. Are you reliant on a single buyer for all your products? What happens if that buyer decides to buy from somebody else? Do you have reliable partners and suppliers for things you need, like seed and fertilizer? So those are business relationship risks. And then there's a whole question of legality. You know, have you registered? Are you tax compliant? Are you abiding by health and safety rules? These are questions where businesses can start well, but then come unstuck. And are your staff developing the skills you'll need to meet the quality standards? Have you made sure that there aren't conflicts within your community business, or that there are processes for resolving conflicts when they arise? And have you put enough thought into risks to do with your brand? Is your logo clear? Are you distinguishing yourself from your competitors? Or might people confuse your product for a competitor's, and so you'll lose market share? So there are many risks that we face, and we need to address them in a proactive way. Next slide, please. So if you've got a new idea for business, say a new product, when you think, oh, this is real risk, shall I sell this product to the buyer? You can think, no, it's too much of a risk. I'm going to avoid it. I'll walk away. Or you can mitigate it. You can find maybe, you can have maybe several buyers. So if that one doesn't work out, you've got other options to sell your product to. So you're mitigating your risk. Or you can transfer it. You can say, well, this is very high risk, but I'm not sure. I'll insure myself. And you can get some insurance or some business partnerships to transfer the risk. Finally, for small things, if it's not going to have a big consequence, just accept it. So that's the way of various ways of handling risk. Next slide, please. And in the Forest and Farm facility, we've worked with partners to develop a toolkit for walking you through how to do a risk assessment. It's called Securing Forest Business, and it will train you in how to take stock of your risks annually, make sure you're clear about what your business objectives are, look at the things that might threaten those business objectives, prioritize which things are really important and which things are something we can ignore, and then make sure that you've identified somebody to take responsibility for fixing the problem. assigning a task leader, and monitoring progress. So very happy that Securing Forest Business Toolkit is available online. Just search for it and you can find it. It's fairly easy risk assessment. Next slide, please. And as I've said, it's very important that you don't get off-put or discouraged by many risks that you face. The trick is to think, which of these has a very high probability of occurrence, which is likely to happen, and which, if it happens, will have a very big impact on my business. And you'll see that if you look at the red zones, these are the sorts of risks that are very likely to occur and very big consequences that you should be thinking about managing in the year ahead. Okay, next slide, please. So once you have got into the habit of managing risks, then there's the whole question of how do you get the support you need to overcome some of those risks? How do you get the support, for example, to improve your legality or do research about how you can improve your product so that customers will like it? And there are many areas where you might need support, not only on legality, but also research and development, business support, technical advice on how to keep your crops free of pests, how to organize your business socially, and how to get finance. So there are many different sorts of advice you will need. And the idea of business incubation is that somebody should be putting you in contact with the necessary sorts of support that you will need for your business to overcome its risks. And that's the idea of business incubation. And it's very important as you are becoming excellent entrepreneurs to think, how can we help other groups with access to these people who supported us to make our business a success? Okay, next slide, please. So one of the problems with supporting business in forest areas is that it's expensive to support business. And where are we going to get the finances to support business? Now, some businesses, when they operate in the city, where some business incubating services, they operate in a city where there are many, many clients, and they can charge a fee in the dark green to cover their costs. So Plan Junto in Ecuador is one where they charge a fee for their support services. But that's quite difficult to do in remote forest areas because there aren't very many clients. Another option is to have donors support business incubators, the green you can see, or projects in the yellow. So often business incubators are paid for by either the government or by a project. And I think, you know, in many ways, NTFP-EP is one of those sort of incubators. It's based largely on project funds. The option on the right is an example of a business incubator that is funded by the profits of the business itself. So it's an association, Fedecovera in Guatemala, that is selling many different products for many different community forest groups, and it's making a profit. And it uses that profit to provide services to the businesses that it buys and sells from. And in that way, it strengthens the community forest businesses and it makes more money for itself. And incubation, business support, becomes sustainable. And in the Forest and Farm Facility, we're really keen to try and move to a model of business incubation that's sustainable. And we're lucky to have two speakers this morning who will, from the Forest Farm Facility, who come from producer organizations and are supporting them. Next slide, please. So I guess the point I'm asking you to think about is, if you're a community forest business, can you group together and then think about providing helpful services to other businesses like yourself? Okay, last slide, please. So this is just a toolkit I wanted to show you. If you want to develop business incubation services in your business, then look for this 4BINC on the website. It's a tool for helping you install business incubation in your services. Next slide, please. And that's where I'm going to leave you, in the more capable hands of my colleagues, who will give you some examples of business incubation in practice. I hope I've shown you why it's necessary. Now you can hear how it works. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Duncan, for sharing this very clear and interesting presentation, looking into business incubation as an answer to risk management. Our next speaker is from NTFP-EP Philippines, and she is the Enterprise Development Coordinator, Ms. Beng Kamba. She is a social development professional with a strong background in cooperative and enterprise development. She provides technical and business development support to forest and NTFP-based enterprises. Welcome, Ms. Kamba, and please share with us your presentation on how NTFP-EP has supported the development of these successful businesses, as an example also of a business incubation service, which was mentioned by the former speaker. The floor is yours.
Hi, can you hear me already? Am I already unmuted? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to all the audience, all the participants in Asia, and good morning to all our guests and participants as well in the other side of the world. So I'm Beng Kamba from NTFP-EP Philippines, and I will be sharing how we assist forest-dependent communities in organizing, growing, and sustaining community-based NTFP enterprises. So Duncan has shared earlier how a business incubation works. I was asking the organizers before, can we be considered as a business incubation, because we're working in the community and all our interventions are happening in the community. But I guess what we're doing, I was convinced that it's also very similar to business incubation. Next slide, please. So a little background about NTFP-EP Philippines. So we are a network of indigenous peoples organizations and NGOs who all envision of empowered IPLCs, inclusively governing forest landscapes that contribute to biodiversity and forest conservation and protection and climate change adaptation mitigation. And we do this through sustainable, culturally appropriate, and gender transformative NTFP-based forest management strategies. One of our major programs is the community-based livelihood and enterprise development. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, so why do we establish community-based NTFP enterprises? So the communities that we work with are highly vulnerable. I'm sure you all know that. And across generations, these forest-dependent communities have all been engaged in the trade of NTFPs, but in many cases have been, and some are still, victims of unfair trading practices. Traders are in control and hold the power in the trading arrangements because the producers are buried in debt to the traders. It is a common practice in communities where traders extend loans to producer suppliers at usurious rates, and they could no longer get out of the system and they lose their negotiation power. So this is just one example of unfair trading practice. And then there's encroachment of lowlanders, which leads to a lot of unsustainable harvesting of NTFPs, affecting the quality and the quantity of supply of raw materials for these community-based enterprises. And then harvest, transport, and utilization of NTFPs are subject to government policies, which are usually too complex and costly for communities to comply with. We all know that market is key in running a business, hence the need to know how to get and use market information. Despite the digitization and access to information, communities have yet to learn how to collect and utilize this business information or market information. IPs do not have the credentials, the track record to access capital from various financial capital providers, and this becomes a problem for them, especially at the growing stage and the takeoff stage. Mining, and then there's mining, plantation, road widening, and all other extractives and government projects severely impacts on lives of forest communities. Next slide, please. But while they face a lot of challenges, there are also opportunities that can be taken advantage of. And some of these are the growing interest of the market for sustainably produced products. The slow movement is gaining ground globally, offering a lot of opportunities for sustainably produced products. And there's also increasing investments on environmental protection and conservation. And also women, because we all work with a lot of women-led and women-owned enterprises. And as we always remind them, if they will not do it, if they will not set up their own business, others will take over because of these opportunities. Next slide, please. And then lastly, the communities engage in business because they need additional income. They want to protect and conserve their forests in order to secure their sources of food and protect their ancestral lands. They also want their businesses to be successful, to be integrated in the value chain, which they feel would lead them in reducing their vulnerabilities. Next slide, please. Our three-step CBNE development ladder, on average, happens over a period of 3 to 5 years from the start up to the takeoff stage. Next slide. And then the need to set up CBNE starts with the community. They need to decide and commit before the journey begins. NTFP secures a written document indicating their commitment in the partnership. Before we do not do this, but we've learned our lesson, so we need to get the commitment of the community if we will work with them in setting up their enterprises. Then we do the assessment. We conduct the community livelihood appraisal and product scanning, or CLAPS, which is a guided process that community conducts to identify the products or services with high enterprise potential, and then initially identify the capacity and knowledge needs of the community. NTFP provides the guidance and trains the community through training, workshops, and research in doing CLAPS. And then product development, market testing, production runs happen until they come up with the best product to launch in the market. So those are the steps in the startup stage. And then we proceed to the build-up stage. Bulk of the intervention happen during the growing stage. Enterprise development training, workshops, mentoring, learning exchanges, simulation activities, business planning, monitoring, leadership formation, and partnership building are just some of the methodologies and interventions we do in order for the CBNE to be able to manage its supply chain. And this is where they formulate resource management plans, conduct participatory resource monitoring, and develop sustainable harvesting protocols. And we do this intervention to be able to upgrade their equipment and facilities, to adopt appropriate technologies, develop standards and certification schemes, and then formulate operating structures interventions. The interventions now shift from hand-holding to allowing the CBNEs to start taking over the business. Understanding the value chain to gain more confidence in integrating their business in the industry, aim at directly linking them up with the target buyers. Value addition and market expansion become part of their market development strategies. Many CBNEs generate revenues, but always fail to manage their funds Thus, we emphasize the importance of cash management. We form industry-based alliances for learning exchanges, advocacy work, compliance to standards, including quality and price. We partner with different organizations, including the media, and now we utilize the social media as well in educating the consumers. And this is very important. We need to reach out to the consumers and educate them about the products that we produce. And then lastly, we teach them how to monitor their performance and growth vis-a-vis their targets and business plans. So we do a lot of interventions, and these are the activities that happen within the 5-year period. Next slide, please. Next slide. As an NGO, highly dependent on foreign funds, we do not have enough resources to do all the things I mentioned in the previous slides. So we need to engage with strategic partners to accomplish our target outcomes. So we partner with both government and private sectors in providing other business development services that our resources cannot accommodate, like establishing production facilities, acquisition of technology, tools and equipment, research and development, and market development. We also partner with various organizations to push for review and advocating enabling policies. So this has been mentioned in a lot in the previous sessions already. We need to connect, we need to engage, because our resources is just not enough. So we need to combine and pull our resources together to be able to achieve our targets. Next slide, please. When the CBNEs graduate from NTFP support, we continue to engage with them through learning exchanges, advocacy work through the industry-based alliances, and regular forums and events. In many cases, for the small CBNEs, they continue to engage with our marketing, local marketing centers and the National Marketing Center to link them up to the market. So in a sense, we only graduate in providing the capacity building support, but towards the end, they still engage with us because we have the marketing, we set up the marketing arm. Next slide, please. So just an example of the impact of what we have been doing. This is just one of them. I would like to present the case of this group. You've seen the leader of the group that was in the video, the Almasiga Resin Trade. This is the Samahang Palawano ng Brooks Point, Palawan, or SPAB. It's a cooperative of Almasiga Resin harvesters. These harvesters used to be tied up with the traders of across generations. They've been indebted. They have big debts with their partner traders. Then these are huge amounts of loans because they do not know how to deal directly with the buyers. They're not organized. They allow the trader to use their harvest permit, and the traders, they peg the price of the resin at a very low rate, despite the high quality of resin. Our intervention in this enterprise started with a value chain study where the gatherers realized that it was possible to change the system if they would be able to take over the business. It was a long process of convincing and the harvesters to take the risk and commit to change. A lot of capacity building activities was done. It was difficult for the unschooled IPs to demand and negotiate with the traders. They also had to deal with the corruption activities of some government officials, but they were able to overcome this. And now they directly supply to the buyers and they manage their own business. When we link them up with the direct buyers, they became a game changer in the province. The price of Almasiga resin was set by SPAB because, they became the benchmark. So the prices of other traders also had to be increased because of what the SPAB did. So in effect, it has, even if it's working only with its own members, it was able to help other harvesters as well. They still have so much to learn, but high interest and openness to change is now more observed because they know that it will improve their operations. And due to this accomplishment, taking over their business, the CBNE now gets more support from various government agencies. So they were able to access capital, Some are grant, many actually were grant because of the example that they were showing the community. So yeah, establishing, growing, and sustaining community-based NTFP enterprises is a long and tedious process. It is very costly, as Duncan said, and compared to other types of enterprises, it is very difficult as there are so many things to balance and consider. Aside from meeting their needs, they need to protect culture and conserve their resources, but it can be done. There are a lot of models that work and may be more effective. Others is just one of many, and there are still a lot of forest-dependent communities needing support. So I call on the support groups to continue providing technical and fund support to this organization with genuine commitment to work with these communities, to governments to enact favorable policies and develop CBNE-friendly programs and projects, and to the CBNEs to continue the learning process and commit to their enterprise growth plans. Thank you, and I hope.
Thank you very much, Beng, for this insightful presentation explaining clearly the steps of the NTFP-EP business services and this very interesting example. Thank you very much. Now, our next presenter for this session is the Executive Secretary of the Telebere Village Savings and Loans Association and the National Steering Committee member of the Ghana Federation of Forest and Farm Producers of GhaFFaP, both partners of the Forest and Farm Facility in Ghana. He has been working with grassroots organizations with particular interest in harnessing the potential of non-timber forest products, forest and farm producer organizations, and community-based village savings schemes. Please help me to welcome our representative from Africa, Mr. Mark Kebo Agparibo.
Thank you very much, Sophie, for the very kind introduction. And also good afternoon, everyone, and good morning from Ghana in West Africa. So my job this morning is to just follow up on what Duncan and the last speaker presented, and to present the case of the Ghana Federation of Forests and Farm Producers. Next slide. So the Ghana Federation of Forests and Farm Producers, GhaFFaP, is a member-based federation that operates nationally in Ghana. It operates in mainly 3 ecological zones, including the forest, the transition, and the Savanna ecological zones of the country. And to date, we have quite a number in terms of our membership and moving towards over 1 million members of forest and farm producers, smallholders in Ghana. And to the right of the screen, you would find the key strategic intervention areas that GhaFFaP operates in. But for this session, I just want to highlight on the strength in business incubation, which is one of the strategic pillars that GhaFFaP has for itself as a national federation, supporting smallholders, particularly forest and farm producers in the country. And one of the key services under this pillar is the provision of business incubation services to our members. You can learn more about GhaFFaP at the following address below. Next slide. And so why did GhaFFaP even begin the process of ensuring that we have business incubation services for our members? I think one of the key highlights for us is the fact that forest and farm producers require tailor-made business incubation services. And so as GhaFFaP, we realized that there was a need to have such a business incubation unit that would cater to the specific needs of our member-based forest and farm producer organizations. And you would agree with me that as forest and farm enterprises, we require very specific services because we also require patient capital to be able to push our business activities moving forward. And so that is why we require tailor-made business incubation services. And then also one of the key reasons is also to take advantage of the strength in numbers of our various farm forest and farm producer organizations. We believe that if we go alone, we cannot achieve the best in terms of profitability and margins. But if we come together using the strength in numbers through aggregation and other support services, we can very much take a higher share of the market share and become more profitable as forest and farm businesses. And so that was one of the key reasons why GhaFFaP set out to set up the business incubation unit. Then, of course, for business incubation services, you would agree that research and development, continuous research and development, and Duncan alluded to this, ensuring that we are constantly researching what are the key happenings in the market, especially in the area of risk and the risks that are coming at each stage of the business. And so research and development is one of the key areas that the GhaFFaP
Yeah, it seems that the internet has problems in Accra. I hope that Mark can join again.
And so there are opportunities for business incubation and farm business.
Mark, you left us a few minutes or so. That's but okay. Great, continue, great, please. Yes. Continue.
Great, thank you very much. Yes. Next slide. Yes, and so this is how the current elements of the key business incubation structures that GhaFFaP has in place. At the lower level, we have the forest and farm business incubation units that are being led by the forest and farm producer organizations at the grassroots level. So for each forest and farm producer organization, which is a member of GhaFFaP, there is an internal business incubation unit. Moving upwards, we have what we call the zonal business incubation teams, which are at the various ecological zones that I mentioned. I mentioned 3 ecological zones, including the Savanna, the transition, and the forest ecological zones. So at each level, we have a business incubation team that supports the specific issues of business incubation in those specific zones. Then at the national level, that is the GhaFFaP Federation, we have what we call the GhaFFaP National Business Incubation Team. So it's a 3-tier approach to business incubation, addressing business incubation at each level of GhaFFaP structures. And I must highlight that one of the key things that from the outset we have planned to do is to make business incubation services demand-driven, so that FFPOs should come up with their business incubation needs through internal mechanisms. And then from that, the business incubation unit provides the necessary support services to be able to achieve the best in terms of business incubation services. And so, as I mentioned, business incubation is present at all levels of the GhaFFaP structures. And I must add that we are also using what we call the basket of products approach, where we do not want to just maintain just single commodity value chains, but to move to multiple commodity value chains that can support and derive more varied opportunities for smallholder forest and farm producers. Next slide. And so for the next few minutes, I will share with you 2 case studies. The first is the case of one of our members, forest and farm producer organizations called ABOFA, who are based in the transition zone of Ghana, specifically working in the Bono and Ahafo regions of the country. And I would first share the case of their work in the area of mango, where you see on the right. So one of our first key value chains is mango production, and mango production also using organic techniques and agroecology principles for mango production, mainly targeting the domestic market. And so one of the key areas they do is support members, especially in the production systems, using agroecology, ensuring that they are producing mango in a more sustainable manner, and also responding to the needs of their members through business incubation services, mainly through aggregation. And so ABOFA works with its member producers in that region in the area of value addition and marketing opportunities in terms of market linkages. The next value chain they also work in is the area of the value chains in respect of cashew and other products, as I mentioned, in the basket of products approach. So you would find that in the left picture, you would have very young cashew trees in there, and also working with other products, including crop products. The next value chain, next slide, looks at a case of Kambaku, that is the Kasina Nankana Baobab Cooperative Union, based in the northern Savanna ecological zone of Ghana. And they work with Baobab. Baobab is purely a tropical crop found mostly around West Africa, also in East Africa, and some parts of Southern Africa. And Baobab, what they use is a Baobab pulp, and also make use of the Baobab seed for Baobab oil. And this is targeting mainly the international market. They have a large off-taker in Europe, in the United Kingdom, Aduna, that off-takes Baobab products for serving the European market. And then of course, Shea is another area that Kambaku works in the area of providing services to their members in value addition and quality management that addresses the needs of bulk buyers. Next slide. And so in terms of financing GhaFFaP's business incubation services, this is the current situation. As Duncan mentioned, mainly FFPOs are currently financing the business incubation services through especially support from the Forest and Farm Facility. But in the short to long term, we are looking at GhaFFaP also ensuring that we have zonal level business incubation financing arrangements that can support and sustain our business incubation services moving forward. And so it is in terms of market development investments are taking place, also in terms of capacity building, and I mentioned also market research, which is also a very key area. Next slide. And so in terms of sharing best practices, currently GhaFFaP makes use of various learning visits, also using the GhaFFaP zonal roundtables, which occur on a quarterly basis. Then of course, also sharing the case studies of our production systems. Moving on to the next slide, which is about the final slides. Next slide. In closing, I would want to say that business incubation is very critical for the survival of forest and farm producer organizations. Financing of business incubation also is a very critical area that needs attention and needs innovations to ensure that it works. And one practical example I want to give from our end, which is the village savings and loans, which I believe most of us know about, is one key way of ensuring blended financing mechanisms to support forest and farm businesses moving forward. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Mark, for this very interesting, inspiring presentation, and also for being so early with us this morning in this session. We are going to our last speaker, which is coming from Vietnam. We are back in Asia. Mr. Tang Pham is working closely with the Vietnamese Farmers Union, and he is the facilitator of the Forest and Farm Facility program in Vietnam. He will share now how the Vietnamese Farmers Union has helped organizing farmers to deliver successful businesses, with example of the Vietnam Cinnamon and Star Anise Cooperative. The word is yours, Tang.
Yes, thank you very much, Sophie. And first of all, on behalf of Vietnamese team, we would like to send our great thanks to organizer who invite us to participate in this workshop. Very interesting. Today, we would like to share with you how Vietnam Farmer Union and FFF, as introduced by Sophie, how we support the NTFP business model for livelihood development and climate resilience. And to participate the workshop today, Vietnamese team, we have me as introduced by Sophie, and my colleague, Ms. Yvonne. She is a senior advisor of WWF in Vietnam. And my colleague, he is a representative from the private sector who invest in the cinnamon and styrene cooperative, what I am sharing with you now. Next slide, please. And in this slide, we'd like to introduce you about some background information about the cooperative. Its name is Vietnam Cinnamon and Styrene Cooperative. It's based in Yên Bái province in the north of Vietnam. And this cooperative have 23 official members, and they are having more than 600 associated members. They are now producing, processing, and exporting cinnamon and styrene, not only in Vietnam market, but also in the international market. So in the picture, in this slide, you can see very clearly that before 2015, the picture on the left side, and the picture on the right side at the present, it's we can compare. It's very easy that before it's very simple production, but now we already support them to establish a cooperative and build a factory for cinnamon and styrene processing. Next slide, please. And the reason to establish the NTFP business incubation unit, we would like to share with you that at the time, VNFU and FFF, we work with the farmer group in Yên Bái province in 2015. At that time, the farmers, they work very individually, and they do a lot of work in a cooperative or collective groups with a few farmer groups, and they harvest cinnamon and just sell to the local trader and middleman with very low price. And of course, they lack of market information, and they lack of technique and policy information. And at that time, the forest road to their forest very bad. So it makes the transportation cost, it's very high. So, and also at the time we work with them, many farmers, they do not understand fully the benefit of group work and even forest and farm certification. And even they have a work in group, but very small and very weak in management. So even yes, even they work in group, but their capacity is very low, and their voice with the local government very weak, very few, and lack of dialogue with the local authority and related agency. Next slide, please. And in this slide, we would like to share with you what and how VNFU and FFF support the cooperative to become stronger and can export to their product to the market. On the left side, in the yellow dot, you can see it's like farmers. They work individually. So with VNFU and FFF, when we work with them, we try to convince them to work together as a group at first, and step by step we strengthen them to become a collective groups and also and become a cooperative. For what? To support them to produce and to bring their product to the market. And as you know that in this process, there are many things and also many challenges, issues related to them, such as government, governance, legality, research, development for their products, and business support and skills, also technical and loans, for example. And how we can support them? The first, we try to strengthen their organizational development, like support them how to work in group and raise awareness for the members, the benefit of the group work, for example. And after that, we try to capacity building for the cooperative and its member. For example, we try to organize technical and skill training, and also bring them to the successful model for them to see, to learn, and so that they can apply. And many forest and farm crops models, we support them to build and to establish. And the next activity is that we try to support them to like policy advocacy, so that to solve their problem. And I think the following slide, we can show you more detail on this. And in order to help them, help individual farmers and farmer groups to work together, implement organic production, and cooperate with the private sector to process and export product to the market. We focus on 4 main things in this slide. The first thing is that we try to promote and organize like governments and cross-sector groups, like we call cross-sector platform, to support for the farmers and cooperative. For example, we try to organize roundtable discussion at the different level, at commune level, district, and provincial level, to solve the problems and the challenge of the cooperative in their production and business, to find solution and to help them. And the second thing is that we try to, as I mentioned in the earlier slide, we try to capacity building for the cooperative, so that they can have enough capacity and skill, for example, technical and market and even organizational management skill, and market analysis and business planning, and many exchange visits, and also bring them to the successful model to see and to apply. And the next thing related to the climate change mitigation and resilience, we try to raise the benefit and the awareness of climate change, impact of the climate change to the cooperative and its farmer. And we try to support them to establish the forest and farm model, especially focusing on, for example, organic farming. It's actually for this case is cinnamon production, and also how to diversify crops, diversify incomes in their forest. For example, under the cinnamon, we try to support them to grow herbs, for example, to increase income and also balance the climate for their forest. And the thing related to their operation and their life is that access to social and cultural service. We'll also try to support them to make their community become more attractive and more, maybe even more income for them. Next slide, please. And as the result of our support for the cooperative, now they have we have a cinnamon and star anise cooperative. As I mentioned earlier, they have 23 members with more than 600 associated members, and they are now successfully apply more than 1,000 hectares of cinnamon, organic cinnamon, and we support them to convert more than 20,000 square meters of forest and farm land into the cinnamon factory areas. With the contribution from member and from the bank, the factory was built with the total investment of 3.5 million USD, and they export 1,500 and 2,000 tons per year of organic cinnamon and star anise, with turnover in 2020 is more than 45 million Vietnam dong, equivalent to 2 million USD. And of course, under, as I shared earlier, under the organic cinnamon, we can call organic value chains. We also diversify income from the cinnamon forestry, for example, growing different crops like herbs, and even support them to raise bees for their income, and also handicraft from the cinnamon timber and cinnamon bark, etc. And at present, the cooperative creates very good job for more than 100 local labor with 75 women. And of course, the income is increased a lot compared with the time we starting work with them. Next slide, please. So in order to like strengthen and share the successful, like we call successful business model to others, we try to promoting. The first thing we think that promote trust and cooperation within and among NTFP, AFPOs, and FPOs, very important. And we also promote production, and of course with processing and business. Like in this case, not only processing, but we support them to export to other countries. And we also emphasize the important roles of farmers union at all levels in supporting the FFPOs. And of course, policy advocacy, very important, as I mentioned earlier. And we try to work with them and have an appropriate approach, like value chain, participatory, and self-reliance, so that they can sustainable themselves even without us and without any project besides them. And of course, the ownership of the process and the result of FPOs is the key for sustainable. And what we want to share with them, with you, sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No, you hear me? Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Tang, for sharing this very inspiring experience, how the Farmers Union became a multifaceted business incubator for their members, and also the lessons learned in this process. This is really interesting. Thank you. So now, after these great examples, I would like to invite the public, the community entrepreneurs from among our audience to tell us about the business support that you have received, which was most useful to you. If you would like to speak, you can turn on your camera and wave to us, and we will try our best to see you. Just a reminder for the audience, should you need a translation, please click on the translation button on the lower right hand of the screen and the language of your choice. So who wants to go first? And who is going to help me to see the hands? Is somebody already coming up? I thought that there was maybe maybe we have Mr. Pham Van Tien from the Cinnamon and Star Anise Cooperative. Is he there? Would he want to speak? Or there is maybe we have another candidate, Ms. Zila or Andi of Sungji Tohor, Indonesia. Ah, I see another hand here.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a hand, Juita.
Yeah, I see a hand there. Okay, Juita, as I see your hand, please unmute yourself and you can maybe put on the camera and we hear from you.
Sampaikan tangan gitu.
Sudah, dia sudah pamitan tangan. Sudah aja pengalaman. Kita sudah moderatornya dong.
Hello, you will speak in Bahasa?
Yeah.
Hello, can you speak out? Can you maybe tell us your experience? Can you tell us your experience as an entrepreneur about which support has been very helpful? Which kind of support has been helpful for you? Thank you.
Nama saya, perkenalkan nama saya Juita dari Indonesia, dari UKM Mutiara Tohar Bersagu. Saya sudah beberapa mengikuti pelatihan, juga pelatihan dari NTFP Indonesia, bantuan yang selama ini saya
So the support so far is from, so the support is very positive to me, such as skill training, and it's more on participative to us. And from the skill training, I have implemented those skills that upgraded to me, such as the place where I could process the product, which is nearby the toilet. And now we already moved that place.
Dari hasil pelatihan kemarin, ini yang kami terapkan.
And now
membuang pijat sagunya saat pencucian sagu.
We already clean all the products.
Kami berusaha
and now we are not trying to use the additional color to the products from the food products, except natural color to the sago palm. And we didn't add any MSG. So that's all from my experience.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Juita. Very interesting, your experience. Can I now call to Mr. Pham Van Tien from Vietnam? I think he, can you unmute yourself and I think you raised your hand.
Xin chào tất cả quý vị ạ.
Xin chào.
Tôi xin được giới thiệu, tôi là Phạm Văn Tiến, đến từ hợp tác xã Quế Hồi Việt Nam. Tôi rất là mong muốn được chia sẻ những cái kết quả mà chúng tôi đã đạt được
And I'd like to share our results from the support of FFF for those recent years. In 2015 until now, we received a lot of support from the FFF relating to the skills, how to do the business, how to do the market research, and also how to prepare for the business planning proposal. And we also have opportunities to visit many cooperatives. And now we also be able to write some of the proposal for small projects. And we hope in the future, if we can write the bigger proposal, we can approach to the budget or to the loan from the bank. And also we can approach to some grant for our production development. And besides those knowledge I learned, I'm also able to be connected with some private enterprise to support for the infrastructure, and also how to do the market research and approach to the buyers. So since 2017, we already established the cooperative to find more collaboration with the bigger companies. And we also hope that we can sign the business contract with some companies. And also we were supported by the FFF, some of the roundtable meeting. And we also can find the agreement, the solutions on how to solve the problems of our cooperatives. For example, we can find the support of the land renting for long term, so we can have the areas to build our factory. And also through those roundtable meetings, we got the support from different stakeholders. For example, the transportation, the road to our factory, even it was put on the hill, but we can access to the factory easily. And this also support for us a lot in developing our business. And the FFF also supported the continuously learning experience to other cooperatives. And also we, through the collaboration with the supporter in the community, there is more participant, more farmer joy in the cooperative. And through this learning experience, we also know how to manage the risks might happen to our cooperative. So at first, we have around 7 hectares of organic cinnamon, but currently we can reach to around 600 hectares, and we received the sustainable certificate of the organic cinnamon by Japan, Asia, or Korea. And with the support from FFF, we also find a lot of the jobs opportunity for the local peoples, and also especially for the female from surrounding areas. So they can have a lot of opportunity to find a job and to get more income. So this is really our thankful for this program support.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr.
Xin cảm ơn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Tien, who is the Vice Director of the Cinnamon and Star Anise Cooperative, for sharing this very important addition. I think this was really helpful to hear it from the people themselves. Now there is the hand up from Colleen Sumonda from Saya. So please, you have the word to share your experience, or even have a question to the panel if you have. Please go ahead.
You may have to unmute.
Colleen, mag-unmute ka, Colleen.
Let's see where I find her.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
She's okay, thank you.
Para kanako dapat mapadayon ang pagnegosyo sama sa pag-consignment sa laing-laing nga negosyo center.
For me, I would like to know that we need to continue the learnings that we have gotten from the CBNEs and the skills that they have trained us. It's okay to have a business that's small, but the most important thing is that there's business. Thank you very much to the NTFP for the scholarships provided to the children, and also in business management that we can apply also in other terms of managing in the family. Thank you also that we have added a new knowledge on running a business and support and value not to give up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Colleen. Is there? Do you see another hand? There is. Oh, I see there is Enrique Mamacila. Could you unmute and come, please, on video if possible? And you have the floor, please.
Hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. I would like to share about the Mamasil enterprise. We are still continuing with our business at present. And in terms of providing quality in our products, especially that we have learned something on how to face the challenges in getting the raw materials. To us, the farmers, we have not gotten yet really the most important strategy on how to provide solutions in the current challenges that we're facing. So this is the reason why that our business is running slow. And we hope that the NTFP will continue to help and guide us in times of pandemic. And with the things that we have learned, we can stand independently. So thank you, NTFP. And we wish that you will continue to support the rest of this CBNEs. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this this witnessing from Mama Chila. We still have time for one intervention from the public before we go back to the panel. If there is somebody who can raise hands, or if somebody can help me to see where the hand is raised, that would be helpful. Then we can still have one. No, there are no raised hands. Is there somebody else who wants to say something more?
There is now.
Yeah, there is a hand now. Sufriadi, can you please unmute and other two hands now. Okay, but okay, let's Sufriadi, please. Thank you very much. Come, please. You have the floor now for a few minutes.
Yeah. Hello everyone.
Semuanya. Hello everyone.
My name is Supriyadi Safar. I'm from
My name
Southeast
is
Sulawesi.
Safar Alpen Sultan. I am from
And
Sulawesi.
I am the local officer for Women Alliance.
The local
in
officer
here.
From the Women Alliance.
I want to share my experience.
And I want to share my experience.
A long time ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, our farmers here, they doesn't know how to make a good packaging for their products. And with NTFP's product, with a participatory guarantee system, they come and helping us to training us how to make our product is getting better, our packaging is better, and then they give us training to make our product be another products. We call that palm sugar granule. My product is palm sugar. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you. Our product is palm sugar. So I want to say a lot of thanks to NTFP and their partner. They really help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sufriadi. This was very interesting to hear from an entrepreneur how you were supported. We have 1 minute more if there is another hand. If not,
there's one.
Who?
I'm sorry. From Iale.
Iale or something. Okay, so you can still have the floor. Lalai Swanda or Lalai Sumonda. Sorry, I'm sorry. Please, can you unmute and then. Oh, and there is another. Okay, and then Yvonne, and then we have to stop. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
No, so, Yvonne, first Lalai Sumonda, where is she?
Okay.
I think. Where Lalai Sumonda? I don't hear you, Swanda.
No. And you have to unmute. Mag-unmute, Balay. Yan.
Unmute.
Ako di ay si Lalay Sumunda.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Lalay Sumanda. Thank you very much, NTFP.
Thank you
for giving us this training.
Thank you, NTFP.
Of decision nila.
They were the first ones to support us.
Oh, I have a question. How do we continue our business if we wanted to continue, but if we lack buyers, even though we have a small enterprise, we are willing to continue until the end, especially that we are from the IPs. We do not know really how to maneuver the internet, and even coming to the downtown or into the cities, how do we get by these situations? Thank you.
Thank you, Lalai. That is a very important question. I hope that the panel can remember this when they speak later. Just quickly, a last question or intervention from Yvonne, Vietnam. Please, you have the floor, Yvonne. Please keep it short. Thank you. No.
You're
Yvonne?
muted still.
Yvonne, you're muted. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, because I just want to mention answer the question our representative before me. I think this section very important, because when we talk about business incubation, some people thinking it's a startup. It's very, very, very difficult if we do not understand what is a business incubation. This is why we have to talk with our FFPO with a long way and coach and go with them along with their business from the first step to the step 2, step 3, as our partner mentioned about their presentation. But I think the upscaling business is very important. This is why now we also let our FFPO to know about the risk management in business incubation and risk management. It's very important because when we want to bring our product to the market, we have to determine who will buy our product and whom we will work with. Very important at the beginning. We have to market analysis and connection with other stakeholders, the facilitator and leader of enterprise or FFPO cooperative should think very carefully all the time how on business. It's very important, not only for the leader of cooperative, even us, we are facilitator. But every time we have to think upscaling, but how upscaling? If we only focus on our work, on our capacity, I think it's good, but not enough. We have to expand our relationship with local authority, with trader, with the company, with scientists, institution, with the bank, with any stakeholder can help us. And based on that, as our partners said, they raise the proposal, plan of business, and they find out some resource, maybe from technology support, maybe from information sharing, maybe from business development investment. I think it's very important for our FFPO and even us. We should think very carefully business and risk management, especially in a pandemic period. We have lockdown, but VNFU and we are in city. We have to connect with the company, with the buyer, with stakeholder, how we can bring our product from mountain area to the market. This is why we have to very ready to support our FFPO, but FFPO have to connect off, or even they have to connect with their networking, with the facilitator, with the buyer, with the local authority, with the FFPO in other area. I think the networking and connection and risk management very important for how we can scale up, how we can explore more, invest and resource and technique support, and even communication. And even now in FFF, I propose VNFU and FFF to organize the internet and smartphone using for our FFPO. I think it's the way we have them capacity building in connection through the long distance, through the smartphone, through laptop. This is why our Mr. Tien today can join our meeting. I think very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yvonne, for always a very inspiring words. I think, in fact, I want to give the word back to the panelists, but you have already anticipated a lot of it. The panel, please, you have only 1 minute each to just wrap up because we are at the end of the session. So you have 1 minute, please go ahead. Maybe Duncan, you can start.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing all your examples from around Asia. I think my one point to wrap up would be the one that Yvonne just raised, that it's so important in business and in incubating a mature business to focus on relationships. Nobody can know everything. I don't know how to do mobile phone marketing, but there will be people who do know how to do that. So the job of a business incubator is to expand your relationships, to find people who can find solutions for your businesses. And I think that's such good advice, and I'll stop there.
Next good advice, next good advice can come from Peng Gamba. 1 minute, please.
Yeah, it's really short. You know, we've already heard a lot of advice from my colleagues in the panel. So I guess my advice is for the CBNEs. If you want to really, pursue and work with the various business development providers, you have to start with yourself. You have to know what you want. You have to know where you want to go and how much you can commit to that. If you don't know what you want and you just rely on what others will, give you, it will be very difficult, because, you have to be present when you start your business, or, it will be others who will be taking over your business. It's not going to be you. So I think
Okay, thank you, Mark. Very short intervention, please. Thank you. Last thoughts.
Thank you, Sophie. Very interesting insights I've also gained from here. And I just want to have two quick takeaways. First is that there needs to be continuous research and development to identify the various risks the business would face at various stages of the business. And then also, ultimately, forest and farm producer organizations should work towards self-financing of business incubation. That's very, very important. And once again, thank you from GhaFFaP and my colleagues here in Ghana for giving us this opportunity. Good morning.
Excellent, Mark. Tang, one small intervention from your side.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Yeah, what I want to say is already said, but I would like to emphasize that incubation or business development or everything is lacking if we don't have trust and cooperation among and within farmer and FFPOs. That's the first thing I would like to wrap up. And the second thing is that we try to policy advocacy, so that we can solve the problem and the challenge of the FFPOs and the FFPOs. And we also, at the same time, we can mobilize resources to support them. Thank you very much.
Excellent last points from Tang as well. Thank you so much. That's all the time we have for the panel discussion. I'm sorry for that. Before we close, I quickly want to highlight some of the takeaways of the session, and where we were addressing the question how to move away from case-by-case projects in upscaling business capacity development for community-based NTFP enterprises. We heard a lot today, and but from the examples we heard, we could learn how important it is to stimulate business incubation, responding to risk also, that can be run by the Apex national forest and farm producer organizations themselves, as they know best which services their members need. The key and the key lessons learned, and they could use the key lessons learned of business incubators like NTFP-EP or UNSAP, and those should find their way and could be mainstreamed in these Apex farmers organizations. And in this sense, I also would like to call upon the private sector present today to support these Apex producer organizations, to develop them as business incubators for their members. In investing in member-based organizations' capacity support to support focusing things like focused on very practical things like, for example, packaging, introducing quality standards, or enhancing value addition of their cooperatives will be much more sustainable and profitable in the long run, especially if there are challenges on donor funding and which is becoming scarcer in these days. So this is a call also for private sector to support business incubation led by FFPOs and forest and farm producer organizations. So yeah, finally, now we can thank everybody, all our panel presenters, and of course, a very big thank you to the audience. We hope that this session has been very helpful for you and for your work with the community partners in securing their enterprises. Thank you all, and I hope to see you in the next sessions.
Thank you, Sophie.